Part 5. The Sacrifice. Inga and Rourke barely escaped the collapsing cave, but the Guardian was close behind. Inga remembered her grandfather's stories about ancient rituals and realized the amulet was a key to sealing the island's curse. She raced back to the stone altar and placed the amulet in the slot at its center. The ground shook violently and the Guardian appeared before her. "You have come far," it said, its voice echoing like a storm. "But the balance must be restored. A sacrifice is required." Inga, trembling but determined, stepped forward. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll give myself to restore the balance." But at the last moment, Rourke appeared, his face pale and filled with regret. "No," he said, stepping forward. "This is my fault. I let greed blind me. I'll do it." The Guardian regarded him for a moment, then nodded. "Your sacrifice will be accepted." As Rourke stepped into the light emanating from the altar, he turned to Inga. "My crew, tell them I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking. Then, with a flash of light, he was gone. The Guardian vanished. Inga barely had time to grab the amulet. It seemed the ground would give way beneath her. She ran towards the shore. The island rumbled and shook around her. As she reached the beach, she saw the black gull still anchored nearby. But as she climbed aboard, she noticed something strange. The crew who had been turned to stone were now flesh and blood again. They stared at her with hollow eyes, their expressions blank. The crew looked past Inga looking for Rourke. They then looked at Inga. "Well, where is our captain?" one of the crew finally asked. The crew looked at Inga with confusion. She just looked back at them. She did know what to say, how to say it. But they knew. They knew their captain was lost to them. But before she could react, the crew surrounded Inga, their voices chanting in unison. "The amulet must stay," they intoned. "The island demands it. We lost our captain because of that amulet." Inga backed away, clutching the amulet. "No, you lost your captain because of greed," she said confidently. The crew advanced toward her, their hands outstretched, demanding to have the amulet. Part 6. A New Beginning. Inga fought off the crew by holding up the amulet. When it started to glow, she warned them to stay back or else. She didn't know what to do, but she hoped that it worked. She needed them to be fearful of the amulet. She had to secure a safe travel home. They backed away from Inga and set sail, leaving the cursed island behind. Inga let out a brief sigh for now. The journey back to Seabrook was fraught with tension, as the crew remained eerily silent, their eyes fixed on the amulet. Inga kept it close, clutching it with such a grip. She was watching them all. Inga was exhausted. The crew knew they were lucky to even be able to leave the island. Knowing its power was too great for anyone to wield. When she finally returned home, Duncan was overjoyed to see her alive. She told him everything, every little detail, and Grandpa Duncan was mesmerized though not surprised. He hung on every word. They together decided to keep the amulet hidden. The experience changed Inga. She was different. She thought of being more cautious. She sometimes thought about Captain Rourke and the consequences. She thought of protecting the world from those who sought to exploit the island's secrets. Inga's return to Seabrook was bittersweet. She carried the weight of the island's secrets with her. She spent her days helping her grandfather Duncan repair his old fishing boat and listening to his stories with a newfound appreciation. The amulet, now hidden deep within a crevice in the cliffs, was a constant reminder of the price of greed and the dangers of unchecked curiosity. Over time, Inga began to rebuild her life. She still helped her grandfather and went on not-so-far expeditions. Inga took up work as a cartographer, using her knowledge of the sea and her love of mystery to create detailed maps for sailors and explorers, but never to the island. She would tell no one about that. Her grandfather often teased her, saying she had inherited his wanderlust. "You've got the sea in your blood, lass," he would say, his eyes twinkling. But Inga noticed a change in him, too. He seemed more cautious and more protective, as if he knew something she didn't. One evening, as Inga was working on a map in her small study, she heard a knock at the door. When she opened it, there was no one there, just a letter lying on the doorstep. The envelope was plain, but the wax seal bore a familiar symbol, the same one she had seen on the island. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single sentence written in elegant, looping script. "The island is calling you back." Before she could process the words, she felt a presence behind her. She turned quickly, her heart pounding, but no one was there. The air felt colder, and the faint sound of a siren's song drifted through the open door. Inga stepped outside, her eyes scanning the darkening street. In the distance, she saw a shadowy figure standing beneath a flickering street lamp. It was too far away to make out any details, but she could feel its gaze on her. She took a step forward, and the figure vanished, leaving only the echo of its presence. The letter haunted Inga. She tried to convince herself it was a prank, but the symbol on the seal was unmistakable. She showed it to her grandpa Duncan, hoping he would dismiss it as nonsense, but his reaction was the opposite. His face grew pale, and his hands shook as he held the letter also. "I was afraid this might happen," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "The island, it doesn't let go easily." Inga didn't understand. The island got its sacrifice. She made it home. She told no one. She never saw Captain Rourke's crew again. She hid the amulet. What else could the island want with her?